Have you ever noticed that when everything feels important, almost nothing gets finished? We tell ourselves that, well, we're ambitious. We're pursuing multiple opportunities. We're keeping our options open. But often what we're really doing is scattering our attention. Today is about replacing scattered effort with intentional commitment. Welcome to Goals and Grace. I'm Reverend Dr. Juliet Spencer, and I'm known as the Decision Architect because the decisions you make today quietly design the life you'll live tomorrow. This is week 2 of our late summer reset series. Last week, we talked about clarifying who you are becoming because identity always comes before lasting change. If you missed that episode, I encourage you to go back and listen. It lays the foundation for everything we're building together in this series. Today, we're taking the next step. We're choosing one goal, not 5 or 12, just one. Because clarity without commitment is just a great idea. Commitment is what changes your calendar. So, let's begin. Fair warning, my friend, this episode might feel uncomfortable. Somewhere along the way, many of us were taught that successful people juggle everything. We admire people who appear to be doing it all, don't we? But if you study true high performers, not just people who stay busy, but true high performers, you discover something different. They don't do everything. They become ruthless about deciding what matters most right now. That doesn't mean that they have only one responsibility. It means that they have one primary commitment that organizes all of the others. And believe me, that is a huge difference. Several years ago, I remember sitting at my desk with multiple notebooks spread across the table. One held sermon ideas. Another listed home projects. Honeydews for husband. Another contained coaching dreams. There were ministry goals, financial goals, writing goals, health goals, family goals. You get the idea. And every list was important, or so it seemed. And because everything mattered, nothing was really moving very far. I wasn't lazy, and I certainly wasn't unmotivated. I was undecided. An indecision disguised itself as productivity. I stayed busy making lists instead of actually making progress. Maybe you've experienced something similar. One of my favorite questions to ask coaching clients is this: if we were celebrating together 1 year from today, what would have happened for you to say, that was a really great year? Most people don't answer immediately. They begin listing 10 different achievements. Eventually, we arrive at something much deeper, because not all goals carry equal weight. Some goals simply produce results, and others change the trajectory of our lives. Those are aligned goals. They're connected to your values and your calling. They're connected to whatever season you're in and to your identity. Jesus understood this better than anyone. In Luke chapter 10, Martha welcomed Jesus into her home. She worked tirelessly preparing everything. Meanwhile, Mary simply sat at Jesus' feet listening. Eventually, Martha became frustrated, and she confronted Jesus. "Lord, don't you care?" Jesus' response has always fascinated me. "Martha, Martha, you're worried and distracted by so many things. There is need of only one thing." He didn't criticize her for wanting to serve him or for making sure that as a guest he was comfortable. Instead, he addressed the distraction. Martha wasn't doing bad things, of course not. But she was allowing many good things to crowd out the best thing. How often do we do exactly the same? And keep in mind, I am always preaching to myself. Well, one of the greatest lies we tell ourselves is I'll focus once life settles down. But life doesn't settle down. We settle ourselves. Focus isn't found, it's chosen. I often think about Nehemiah. His calling wasn't merely to build walls. His calling was to restore hope to an entire people. When distractions came, he answered, I am doing a great work and cannot come down. He knew what deserved a yes, and that made saying no a whole lot easier. If we don't decide our great work, then every interruption feels equally urgent. This is where many people confuse activity with alignment. Imagine shining a flashlight across a dark room. The light spreads everywhere, which is helpful, useful, but not necessarily powerful. But now imagine passing through a magnifying glass. The exact same light suddenly becomes strong enough to ignite a fire. Nothing changed except the focus. Well, God has already given many of us plenty of gifts. What often changes lives isn't receiving more gifts, it's concentrating the ones we already have. Here's another question worth praying through. What goal would make the greatest difference in every other area of my life? Let me say that again. What goal would make the greatest difference in every other area of my life? Sometimes improving your health improves everything else. Sometimes it's restoring your marriage. Sometimes it's finally launching the business you've delayed. And in doing so, you could open a whole new set of doors. Sometimes it's paying off debt, which creates financial freedom. Sometimes it's rebuilding your relationship with God. And in connecting with God, every decision that follows becomes clear. Not every goal is equal at every time. So find the one that creates the greatest ripple effect. I'd like you to imagine it's September 30th. You're sitting quietly with your journal. You're thanking God for the last several weeks. What happened? Not everything, just name one thing. What's the accomplishment that would make you smile and quietly say, wow, that mattered? Now ask yourself, why does that matter to God? Who benefits if I finish it? Who loses if I never begin? How does this goal reflect the person God wants me to be and is shaping me to become? Those questions often reveal whether you're pursuing significance or simply chasing urgency. Today's move is beautifully simple. Just choose one. Choose one simple move, one goal, and write one sentence that begins, between now and September 30th, I will, ... Keep it visible. Tell somebody, someone you trust who will encourage you and hold you accountable. Schedule the first action before today even ends. And remember, a goal without a date is a wish. A goal without a next step is only an intention. A scheduled next step becomes a decision. As we finish today, remember, my friend, choosing one goal doesn't mean the other dreams disappear. It simply means you're giving one dream permission to receive your very best attention. Divided attention creates divided progress, but focused commitment creates momentum. Next week, we'll answer the question almost everyone asks after setting a meaningful goal. Now, where do I find the time? We'll talk about architecting your calendar instead of letting your calendar architect your life. Remember, everyone deserves one good decision today, including you. The quality of your decisions will never consistently rise above the clarity of your identity. And your identity is rooted in the love of God. Remember, everyone deserves one good decision today, including you. If you know anyone who would benefit from this late summer series, please be sure to pass Goals and Grace along and let me hear from you. If you need help clarifying that identity, I would love for you to reach out for a free coaching call. Until next time, this is Reverend Dr. Juliet Spencer, your decision architect. Protect what matters, lead with grace, and I'll see you next week.